as well as businesses that were closed for the Easter celebration have resumed work in Ogun State. Margaret Okunola went round government ministries, public and private offices in Abeokuta metropolis. Reports that the state head of service, Mr. Kolawole Fagbon, charged civil servants to continually uphold service to humanity with dedication, selflessness, and sincerity. A report.
A drive round Abeokuta metropolis revealed that after the long Easter holiday, which lasted more than 2 days of work, including weekend, work has resumed in Ogun State. Some civil servants were seen at their various bus stops, including Yanomochari and Kuto Park, waiting for their designated buses. A visit further to State Secretariat, Okemoson, revealed some making their ways to their duty posts, while OGTV camera captured some cleaning and getting set for the work ahead. Mr. Kolawole Fagbon, the state head of service, arrived his duty post and ready for business as usual.
The Easter break provided opportunity for recreation and for people to refuel and energize for the work ahead. I believe strongly that Ogun workers are being refreshed, both physically and mentally.
The number one civil servant said Ogun State civil service is a service-oriented one. Therefore, with dedication, selflessness, and utmost sincerity, civil servants should continue to put in their best so as to justify being on the payroll.
I believe that we continue to forge ahead to assist government to actualize dreams of making Ogun State a good place to be, to work and live.
Similarly, a visit to the Federal Secretariat, Okemoson, Abeokuta, as well, showed federal civil servants operating in the state were also back to their duty post. In the same vein, commercial banks in Abeokuta were opened for business, with customers seen going into the banks for transactions. Margaret Okunola, OGTV News.
President Muhammadu Buhari has arrived in Medina, Saudi Arabia, to commence an 8-day official visit to the Middle East country. The presidential aircraft conveying Buhari and some of his aides departed the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, at 9 in the morning on Monday and landed at Prince Mohammed bin Abdulaziz International Airport, Medina, around 5 in the evening local time. While in Medina, the president will be observing the 5 daily prayers as well as the Tarawih prayer at the Masjid Nabawi before departing for Makkah via Jeddah late on Wednesday for the Lesser Pilgrimage. Malam Garba Shehu, the president's spokesman, in a statement revealed that this year's official visit from April 11 to 19 will be Buhari's last trip to the kingdom as president. The National Hajj Commission of Nigeria has disclosed plans to sanction erring state pilgrims' welfare boards that charge intending pilgrims beyond the official fares jointly agreed upon by the Commission and the state boards. In a statement by Deputy Director, Information and Publications, Musa Ubandawak, the Commission stated that ad fares announced last week Friday remain valid and are inclusive of local charges for all categories of pilgrims under the state pilgrims welfare agencies. He also reiterated that the 2023 fare remains less than 3 million naira. It further warned that any states exploiting their returning pilgrims would either have the operational license revoked or the 2023 Hajj allocation withdrawn with immediate effect. The Information Chapel of the Nigeria Union of Journalists, NUJ, Ogun State Chapter, organized our 8th annual Ramadan lecture with the theme, The Role of Religion in Entrenching Peace and Good Governance in Nigeria, which was held at Okemoson, Abeokuta. Bolaji Samson reports that the event has grown to become an annual ritual that facilitates a congregation of Muslims in and around the state government secretariats. A report.
The Nigeria Union of Journalists, Ministry of Information and Strategy Chapel held its 8th annual Ramadan lecture with the theme, The Role of Religion in Entrenching Peace and Good Governance in Nigeria, which is a reflection of many good deeds that epitomize the holy month of Ramadan.
As we all know, that the whole essence of unionism is welfareism. And that is not only expected to be seen in the physical.
Chairman of the occasion, Ogun State Commissioner for Education, Science and Technology, Professor Abayomi Arigbabu, talked about the spiritual and health benefit of Ramadan fasting.
The efficacy of fasting cannot be overemphasized. We all know that there are a number of ailments that even fasting can help us to heal. According to health experts, they have carried out studies which has actually pointed to the fact that fasting may help to improve our blood sugar.
In his remarks, Commissioner for Information and Strategy, Alhaji Abdulwahid Odushile, urged Muslim faithful to pay rapt attention to the lessons derived from the lecture and make a commitment to embrace it.
The principles of justice and fairness are highly emphasized tenets in our religion.
Guest lecturer Professor Sharafuddin Abdul Karim spoke extensively on governance and government, advised to those in power to rule with the fear of Allah in their mind, and also enjoined the followers to play their part well so that the society would be at peace.
Accountability, rule of law, transparency, justice, equity, and righteousness, and God consciousness as key elements of good governance.
We have been able to hear today that what we see in government is truly the replica of a particular family.
Muslim faithful were equally urged to imbibe the legacy of selflessness, charity, generosity, self-restraint, decency, and righteousness. Bolaji Sampson, OGTV News.
Muslims have been urged to make use of the opportunities provided by the ongoing Ramadan fast by moving closer to Allah. The Chief Imam of Ofar, Fadila Sheikh Muhyiddin Salman Hussein, made this known at the first Ramadan lecture of Abeokuta town, sponsored by the state chairman, riders and owners of motorcycles organization, Alhaji Razak Olushola Shotayo. Details are presented in this package.
The first Ramadan lecture of Abeokuta town was held on the 10th of April 2023 at Abeokuta Healthcare Center, Abeokuta Local Government, Ogun State. Delivering his lecture, the Chief Imam of Ofaland, Faidak Sheikh Muhyiddin Salman Hussein, said the importance of Ramadan cannot be overemphasized as it avails the opportunity to move closer to Almighty Allah, thereby urging Muslim faithfuls to make use of the opportunity.
A devout Muslim must pray without ceasing, because nothing happens just by nature. May Almighty Allah reward you for this initiative.
Sheikh Hussein further expatiated on proper upbringing and good home training of children by parents, as this will help in making sure the environment is filled with God-fearing youth. The Abeokuta Ramadan lecture is solely sponsored by Ogun State Chairman of Riders and Owners of Motorcycles Organization, ROMO, Alhaji Razak Olushola Shotayo, from Abeokuta. Alhaji Shotayo admonished Nigerians to use the last days of the Ramadan to pray for the peace and unity of the country.
Coming up, WAEC raises alarm over indebtedness by states. This and more stories will come your way. You're still watching the news on OGTV, the People's Daily. In recent news, the United Kingdom has put Nigeria on the red list of countries that should not be actively considered for recruitment by health and social care employers. In this report, Aderonke Adeyemi expanded on what this portends to the workforce and the health sector in the country. A report.
Nigeria, Afghanistan, Angola, Bangladesh, Cameroon are among 54 countries The United Kingdom has listed that should not be actively targeted for recruitment by health and social care employers. This comes amid a public outcry about brain drain in Nigeria's health institutions, as several medical doctors and other health workers have migrated to the UK and other parts of the world in search of better jobs rather than practicing at home, the phenomenon they called seeking greener pasture.
You are happy when you get good results, when you are able to achieve so much with very little effort, because you have all the necessary equipment and all of that that you need to work with. So it's natural that people will move. The environment is hostile, including insecurity.
What will be the fate of these parents having spent all those money, and these children come back and become competent medical personnel, and salary is not coming as at when due. Condition of service poor.
Meanwhile, the country is already pushing for a mandatory 5-year national service for doctors, which has recently passed second reading. But at what cost is this move?
If government now think the first thing is to come up with a bill 5 years before they will make any attempt to go outside the country, I think it's a shame to us as a country. It's a part of a kind of insensitive in the part of the government of Nigeria.
We should complain that it's too little, because we that need them. We should complain that it's too little. You go to a country where you are treated like a lesser human being, like a second citizen. No matter the certification they get here, when they get there, they have to go through another kind of training. They look at them as some people that are less qualified. They look at them as people that look at racism, what racism is doing.
Respondents, however, call for a total overhaul of the sector instead of escalating the already tense situation.
We should upgrade the equipment in our hospitals, and there must be another legislation that stops people from doing medical tourism, for politicians to go outside for medical treatment.
If you think that it's only doctors only leave Nigeria to go and be doctors elsewhere, you'll be surprised that some of them actually leave medicine entirely, even within Nigeria, to go and do other things. So you still get the same results. The government knows what to do to solve this problem, and what is important is that they should go ahead and do it. And it's very simple. If your children go to other people's houses to watch television, all you need to do is buy your own television. And when you do, they will stay inside.
This response from the United Kingdom came on the heels of World Health Organization's announcement on March 8, 2023, which listed Nigeria and other 54 countries as facing the most pressing health workforce challenges related to universal health coverage. Adirunke Adeyemi, OGTV News.
Governor Babangana Zulum of Borno State has extended the retirement age of teachers in the state by 5 years. This is contained in a circular from the Borno State Teaching Service Board, signed by the Permanent Secretary Malam Yusuf Garga. Reports have it that President Muhammad Buhari assented to 4 bills recently passed by the National Assembly, including Harmonized Retirement Age for Teachers in Nigeria Act 2022. The Act provides for the retirement age of teachers in the country. Section 1 of the Act states that teachers in Nigeria shall compulsorily retire on attainment of 65 years of age or 40 years of pensionable service, whichever is earlier. While the provisions of Section 3 of the Act provide that the public service rule or any legislation that requires a person to retire from the public service at 60 years of age or after 35 years of service shall not apply to teachers in Nigeria. As many state governments are winding down for a new administration from May 29, some still owe the West African Examinations Council, WAEC, for 2022 school-based West African School Certificate Examination registered for their students. The head of the National Office of WAEC, Nigeria, Mr. Patrick Oregan, gave the hint when asked about the latest concerning the states that are owing the organization exam fees for last year. He said, while he will not mention states that are concerned or the amounts they owe, to protect them from people politicizing the matter, is that some of them still owe the organization a substantial amount of money. He said WAEC will continue to engage them in talking to pay their bills even after May 29, when some governors will not return to the seat since government is continuous. Aragan explained further that WAEC as an organization would not want to embarrass any governor, whether coming in newly or not, hence the reason for not divulging the details about them. President Muhammadu Buhari has approved a free trade zone status for the Ekiti Knowledge Zone initiative of Ekiti State Government. The President's approval was given following the request for the status by the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Niyi Adebayo, according to a statement by the Special Assistant to the Minister on Media, Ifedayo Shayo. Buhari's approval was contained in a letter by the Chief of Staff to the President, Professor Ibrahim Gambari, and addressed to the Minister. The House of Representatives Ad hoc Committee on Oil Theft is inviting several high-ranking officials in the federal government over its investigation into the alleged loss of over $2.4 billion in revenue from illegal sale of 48 million barrels of crude oil export in 2015. Some of the officials invited to answer questions are the Minister of Finance, Zainab Ahmed, and the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa. Also summoned are the Acting Accountant General of the Federation, Silva Okoliabo, and the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, among others. The committee is also concerned about the disparity in figures from crude oil sales from 2011 to 2014, and is accusing the Minister of Finance of approving payment to whistleblowers in variance with the whistleblower policy. The Lagos State House of Assembly on Tuesday ordered the withdrawal of letters given to government appointees whose nominations should have been sent to the House for their screening and confirmation, but who took up the jobs without the due process. The House also ordered immediate halting of salaries and remunerations enjoyed by the affected government appointees pending their appearances before the House. The Assembly further summoned 3 top officials over the issue. Those summoned include the Head of Service, Mr. Hakim Muri Okola, the Accountant General of the State, Dr. Abiodun Muritala, and the State's Commissioner for Establishment, Mrs. Ajibola Ponle. In a matter of urgent public importance brought before the House by Honorable Nohim Adams, Deputy Majority Leader, the lawmakers lamented the increasing situation where supposed nominees of the governor continue to work without being screened and confirmed by the House. Speaker Mudashiru Obasa, who presided at the sitting, agreed with the lawmakers that appointments of that nature without recourse to the House amounted to infractions. The body of permanent secretaries in the State Civil Service has celebrated the head of service, Mr. Kolawole Fagbun, as he marked his 59th birthday. The permanent secretaries who converged in his office at Okemoso, Abeokuta, showered encomiums on him, describing him as a disciplined leader and astute administrator who never relent on set goals. They all prayed for him to have a successful tenure with God's guidance and strength.
For he's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow.
It will be recalled that Mr. Fagbon was named and later sworn in as the 19th head of service by Governor Abeokuta in March, and it was in this joyous mood everybody was, as he's now celebrating his birthday, which makes it double celebration. The #1 civil servant in the state also received in his office State Operations Coordinating Unit led by its coordinator, Mr. Tunde Adebiyi, Primary Healthcare Development Board led by Dr. Elijah Ogunshola, and All Nigeria Confederation of Principals of Secondary Schools led by Mr. Edward Adekoya, who all came to felicitate him on his new appointment and birthday celebration. As the greatest sign of his strength and depth of his sacrifice, the power of the cross is capable of turning what is meant for evil to the greatest good the world has ever seen, and that should be the joy of every Christian. Founder and President, World Christian Mission, Chief Oludotun Koliosho, made the submission at the Easter Carols concert of acclaimed music company of the mission, held at Henry Townsend Hall of St. Peter's Cathedral Church, Abeokuta. Matthew Shomi reports.
Founded by Chief Oludotun Koliosho to promote the gospel of Christ and win more souls to the kingdom, World Christian Mission has, over the decades, contributed immensely to the growth of Christian theology through outreach and mission works. Acclaimed music company, as the ministry and mission projects of the mission, has organized this event to celebrate Easter with unique renditions carefully composed and arranged by the founder to minister to lost souls, as well as cause backsliding Christians to rededicate their lives to God. President and founder of the music company, Chief Koliosho, said without the resurrection of the Lord, the Christian faith would have been lacking in essence and credibility, which will only make meaning in the lives of those who live righteously in anticipation of his second coming. The founder declared that Easter is a great time to invite friends, family members, and neighbors to church with the hope that the concert would help remind people of the need to spread the good news of salvation.
If you look at the last psalm in the Bible, it says we should praise God with hymns and psalms, with cymbals, with drums, with everything. So we are using the medium we have, which is the medium of music, to take that message of the gospel to other people.
Bishop Egba West of Anglican Communion, Right Reverend Samuel Ogundeji, said the death and resurrection of Christ is the reason why it must be well celebrated, and music is an important aspect of the celebration.
We must also appreciate God for what he has done, because the word of God said, if Christ has not risen, then there's no basis for our faith. So we need to also appreciate God for raising Jesus, and then most importantly, we must thank God for the hope that we have.
Director of Studies, World Christian Mission, Pastor Lubumi Ajile, highlighting the goals of the mission, assured of more soul-impacting programs.
We still continue to do what we are doing, and I pray the power of resurrection will visit each and every one of us in the name of Jesus.
There were special renditions and music ministrations from acclaimed music company during the concert. Matthew Shoumi, OGTV News.
Personnel of Plateau State Police Command have continued to occupy the State Assembly entrance, stopping lawmakers from gaining access to the hallowed chambers in order to prevent security breaches, leading to breakdown of law and order. The Commissioner of Police in the state, Bartholomew Onyeka, during a press conference at the police state headquarters in Jos, explained that threats to lives and property based on intelligence reports informed the continuous sealing of the State House of Assembly. Crisis rocking the Plateau State House of Assembly resurfaced following the judgment of a Plateau State High Court ordering the reinstatement of Abak Ayuba, who was impeached as the Speaker of the House. Following the court judgment, the reinstated Speaker assumed office and presided over the House at a plenary attended by 9 members of the State Assembly. Not satisfied with the judgment, the other party filed a notice of appeal and stay of execution, which has further deepened the crisis, with supporters of the two sides threatening to cause chaos in the state. This was the premise that the police came to seal the assembly complex to forestall any breakdown of law and order, which has since been enforced. 21 newly promoted officers of the Nigeria Police Ogun State Command have been decorated by AIG Frank Mba. Elizabeth Esson witnessed the ceremony held at the command's headquarters, Elewero, Abeokuta. Her reports.
Police officers serving in Ogun State who have just been promoted at the recent promotion exercise by the Inspector General of Police, Usman Akali Baba, in line with his manpower development policy, were decorated by the newly promoted AIG FCID Frank Mba. The officers who were promoted from Assistant Commissioner ACP to Deputy Commissioner of Police DCP, CSP to ACP, and SP to CSP were charged to see their new ranks as higher callings that demand high level of professionalism.
You are promoted at a very difficult time, and you will be given bigger and higher responsibilities deserving of your new rank. I urge you, as you take on these new offices, please remember, you are not just representing yourself, you are representing your family, you are representing your state, you are representing Nigeria, you are representing the Nigerian police force, and you are representing the finest and the best of humanity.
One officer was promoted from ACP to DCP, 6 CSPs to ACP, and 14 SPs were promoted to CSPs. Elizabeth Esson, OGTV News.
Ekiti State Police Command has paraded 17 suspects over alleged crimes in the state and recovered some weapons. The Commissioner of Police, Ogundari Dari, said the command clamped down on suspects in connection with different reprehensive crimes. Parading the suspects, the command PRO DSP Sunday Abutu said the command RRS on April 6, through the bush combing operation, arrested one Augustine Agabo, Adeniyi Olamilekan, Williams Ukemia, Friday, and Ademo Gabriel inside the forest close to Igede Farm Settlement. Abutu added that the command arrested 2 suspected robbers and recovered 2 stolen motorcycles in collaboration with some community members in Abeokuta on April 4 at about 8 in the evening, and arrested one Saliu Oyebamiji and Ajishafe Mayowa. The Eastern Naval Command of the Nigerian Navy has arrested 27 vessels engaged in illegal bunkering and crude oil theft. They also deactivated 294 illegal refinery sites. The outgone flag officer commanding Eastern Naval Command, Rear Admiral Ibrahim Dewu, made this known in Calabar, Cross River State, while handing over the command to his successor, Rear Admiral Olushola Olagbere. According to him, the arrests were made between the period he assumed office as flag officer of the command in February 4, 2022, and when he left the command on April 11, 2023. Ogun State government will at all times prioritize the health of its workers and residents by providing all necessary equipment and support, but they should contribute their quota by ensuring safety of lives and property. This was the charge by the Commissioner for Special Duties and Intergovernmental Affairs, Honorable Olufemi Ilori Odunton, while inspecting a fire scene in Irunwo, Abeokuta. Margaret Okulola reports that the swift response by the State Fire Service, who came to the rescue, prevented a massive damage. Her report.
This is a rural area of Abeokuta in Abeokuta South Local Government, and number 26 Ambode House was the scene of the fire incident, which occurred in the early hours of Tuesday, where the boys' quarters that serves as a store in the house was gutted by fire. The State Fire Service team responded to the emergency alarm, though one of the fire officers was injured as wall fell on him in the course of saving lives and property. This prompted the State Commissioner for Special Duties and Intergovernmental Affairs, Honorable Olufemi Ilori-Odunton, alongside the State's Director of Fire Services, Engineer Fatai Adefala, to swing into action to inspect the area of the incident. According to an eyewitness, Mustafa Olabode, the cause of the fire remains unknown.
When we see that fire is blowing from this house, and we just call everybody and they run. They put water. Me, I run to Ijemo to call the fire, and they say they was coming. When they came, they cleared the fire.
Engineer Adefala said the swift response by the State Fire Service curbed the scene from getting out of hand.
I will just advise the public to be rest assured that the state government has made everything possible for them. We have all fire equipment. They should be rest assured when they call on fire service, we are ready to respond promptly.
The team moved to the State Hospital Ijaye, Abeokuta, to commiserate with the injured fire officer, Mr. Michael Shokumbi, where they were received by the medical director of the health facility, Dr. Bumi Oshinaike.
I don't know how the block comes to me. I thank Governor Abeokuta, the Commissioner of Special Duty, the Director of Fire Service, and others.
It's a positive outlook. It doesn't look anything bad at all. But we're not leaving anything to chances.
Honorable Olufemi Ilori-Odunton described the officer as a dutiful hero, while charging workers not to be discouraged, as Ogun State government will reward them accordingly.
Fire is not something they can be toying with. So I'm urging them to please, whenever they're handling fire, whenever they have kitchens, they don't put kerosene by the side, they don't put fuel by the side, and they have to be careful. And they don't put matches because, you know, children play with matches.
She charged residents to be wary of fire-provoking elements and substances to avoid loss of lives and property. Margaret Okunola, OGTV News.
About the Commissioner for Special Duties and Intergovernmental Affairs, Honorable Olufemi Ilori-Odunton, at a fire incident in Eruwo, Abeokuta. It's time to bring you business news with Simiat Abaro.
Welcome to the business segment of the news. The International Monetary Fund has retained Nigeria's 3.2% economic growth projection for 2023 in its recent World Economic Outlook update. In the World Economic Outlook, a rocky recovery 2023 APR, the IMF approved and improved the country's 2024 economic growth projection for 2024 to 3.0% from the 2.9% stated in January update. According to the Washington-based lender, economic and global economic growth is expected to fall from 3.4% in 2022 to 2.8% in 2023. Meanwhile, the World Bank Group has forecast that growth in developing countries will slow down to 3.1% in 2023. This was disclosed by the World Bank President David Malpass during the Spring Meetings 2023 Media Corps. Malpass blamed the forecast decline on rising energy prices and recent banking stresses, which he said will dampen activities. This is coming after the World Bank Group declared in its Africa First report that Nigeria's economy will be driven by the non-oil sector, as oil production is projected to remain subdued in 2023 due to several factors. And away from that, amid the attacks on Ukraine, Nigeria imported 39.68 billion naira worth of goods from Russia, according to